Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome to Yin with me today. It's really cold. So I thought, well, the practice that we could do to practice that we can practice is an earth elemental practice, and to really draw upon the Kapha energy. The Kapha energy or the Kapha energy is one of the three doshas. And the Kapha characteristics are those that are associated with the earth element and the water element, Prithvi and Jal. And so this will help us to cultivate warmth in the body. It will cultivate a little bit of vitality, a sense of an upward lift, help us to kind of shift this sort of feeling of being cold, shift this feelings of being sluggish, I wanted to just like curl up in a blanket. That's invited. But we want to be able to feel as if we are in alignment with the season, so that we can generate our own internal fire, because that's what's missing here. We've got Kapha is earth and water, but not any fire. So we want to create some fire in our practice, Tejas or Agni. And so our practice will really be drawing upon those principles. My dog's just doing something funny out of sight. He's not allowed on one particular armchair. But when we're practicing, because it's my favorite armchair and it's beautiful, and when I practice yoga, he goes and sits on that armchair because he knows I will not get off my mat to go and tell him off. Silly dog. Get on this bed. So cheeky. Okay, my friends, let's come onto our mats. Now, if you have a spare blanket, I advise you and invite you to line your mat with your blanket so that you're nice and warm. These fellas don't need any fire. They've already got it going on. So sit on a warm blanket, or perhaps you have a faux fur rug, or sort of, those faux sheepskin style rugs. You can sit on that also, so that you kind of have this heat. I have my big woolly socks on today. Coming into our Sukhasana. And for our mudra today, let's bring our Surya Mudra. And the Surya Mudra is when we fold in the middle finger and take the thumb to the middle finger knuckle. So fold in the middle finger and take the thumb to the knuckle of the, and have your hands face up on your knees. When we work to balance the Kapha energy of this season of autumn moving into winter, when the earth begins to turn to mud with the rain, when the leaves fall from the trees and land on the earth and turn into mulch. And within the earth energy, animals begin to bury food in preparation for the long winter ahead. Squirrels will be gathering nuts. Bears will be fattening themselves up, ready to go into hibernation. Hedgehogs will also be gathering and making their beds deep in the earth. Badgers, foxes, creating warmth to sustain them through the long, cold winter. And that's why we turn to the Kapha energy. Take 3 breaths here. And release the breath into the earth through the root of the spine, through the Muladhara chakra, which we know is associated with the earth element. Passes through the Swadhisthana chakra, which is connected to the water element. So earth and water very closely placed in the lower body here. And then just above those 2 elements of earth, water, we have fire at the Manipur chakra. So that's what we're going to be activating so that we can shift this energy. One full breath, and then let's bring the hands together in Namaskar at the heart, opening by chanting Om. Inhale fully, and let's offer the Om to the 3 constitutions, or the 3 types of doshas that we have. Kapha, Pitta, and Vata. We have a balance of the elements. We seek a balance. We may have differing proportions of those elements within us, but we have all within us to form these 3 types. Inhale to prepare. Oh. 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 Let's come into our first Yin Mudra. So remember in Yin, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find that space within our body. So if you're seated on your folded blanket, let's bring the soles of the feet together in Badakanasana, butterfly pose. Have a generous diamond here. Let's engage the mulaband at the perineum, so squeeze the pelvis. Draw in the navel towards the spine. So what we're engaging here is the mulaband and the udyanaband. These are 2 locks of energy. And what we want to do is move the energy between the Manipur, Swadhisthana, and the Muladhara, concentrate the energy here so that we can activate the warmth and the fire of the Manipur and begin to create some movement in the earth and Jal, the Prithvi and the Jal elements. Exhaling, let's hinge forward. You can fold forward here without the use of props. Alternatively, you can use a bolster or a large pillow. And so if you're using a large bolster or pillow, you can place your eyebrow center to rest. This bolster will stand with the firmness of my brow and the firmness of the earth that will hold it. You may need to create a bridge with bricks or footstool. Just hold forward here. During this season, we may begin to feel low in energy. So especially if you have a dominance of Kapha, that's earth and water in your type, i.e. when you were created, these elements come together so that you are physically manifested into being. Your soul has existed and will exist. And then this is the time for your physical manifestation on the earth. And so the combination will differ. You may have more water, more earth, less fire, less air, less space. If you're Kapha. And if you feel lethargic or fatigued a lot, or you feel as if your tendency is to become melancholy or hold grudges, then it is likely that this is the type that you are. 3 more breaths here in butterfly Badakanasana. Really soften here. Allow, if you are folding forward and resting on a pillow or a cushion, allow the pillow and cushion to hold the weight of your head. By folding over here, we are beginning to activate these 3 lower chakras, each of which is associated with the elements we are trying to shift, to create some movement in. Because remember, we don't have air or space or fire in Kapha. So we want to bring some of those qualities into Kapha to help balance it when we are feeling particularly kind of like out of like balance, when we're feeling a little bit like we love to relax and stay warm and cozy, but we actually don't even feel like doing anything. Inhale, lift your eyebrow center. Take your hands away from your feet. And we're going to continue to work with the kind of bringing in the fire element. So let's turn into what we call Mrigi Asana, or deer rotation pose. So place your bolster to the right hip here, or your large pillows. That's an option for you. Keep the right knee where it is and bend into the left knee and take the left foot out so that you create a zigzag here. So shift that left foot out, bring the left knee to the right foot. You create a zigzag here. Ground down through the sit bones, lengthen up, and then exhale, turn over towards the right. And your bolster or pillows are going to support you here. So you can come up to, you can bring it up higher. So this means that it will be a more gentle and less intense rotation. You could come directly to the earth, which will intensify the experience. So bolster, without a bolster, bolster at an angle, or directly flat on the earth. And then when you're ready, let's fold over our bolster or pillow. And I invite you to bring your right ear to the bolster or the pillow. Now, this is where I would invite you to cover yourself with a blanket as well, if you have that second blanket available, so that you're feeling fairly warm. So you're wrapping yourself up, you're getting that sense of being embraced and held, that Kapha's love. But you're also, by working on the Manipur, the fire element here, the 3rd chakra, you're also creating that internal combustion, that internal fire. If you want to add a little extra to this rotation, you can always turn your head and be on your left ear. And this sort of adds that extra corkscrew twist to this asana. We want to increase the pitta. We want to increase the sense of vitality, the sense of, by creating that, stimulating that vitality of the fire, it also strengthens our immune system. So it helps us to prepare for the cold and flu season ahead. And also, we're still having the effects of the pandemic. So this will help to bolster our immunity system by balancing the Kapha element a little bit more with the fire, bringing in the pitta, the fire element of that personality type. Softening wherever you are, releasing and letting go, surrendering in your asta. Inhaling, pressing into the left, into both hands, rise up, walk your hands towards your body. Let's counter twist over to the left for a moment. You may want to shuffle this to the centers. Mine's a little bit off center, but leave your pillow or bolster where it is. You might want to create a little bit of height. We're going to turn around and come into reclined butterfly, Supta Badakanasana. So now turn onto your seat so that your lower back is against the base of your bolster or pillow. Remember, if you want to lift the bolster or pillow, place some large books, place some rolled up blankets at the head of it. You can place some cushions at the head of it. Feet together in butterfly. Place your hands next to your hips, and then as you exhale, without landing on your dog, recline onto your bolster. Now check how it's feeling at your head here. If your head doesn't feel comfortable, when you slightly tuck in your chin, you might want to place, again, a folded blanket or a cushion there for a little bit of support. So this is the supported variation. Again, cover yourself with the blanket here. Perhaps you place an eye pillow on the eyes. So the reason why Supta Badakanasana is very, helps to balance Kapha is that because we're opening across the core here, where the fire element is. We're also opening across the heart, where the air element sits. And so the fire and the air elementals begin to counterbalance and create some vitality, some expansiveness to shift the stagnant energy that we sometimes see in autumn and winter with Kapha, those of us who have Kapha. And if you don't know about the doshas, I have a dosha quiz that I can send you, so just drop me a line. So you can work out your type, your prakriti, your natural state of being. Begin to feel the warmth of Tejas, Agni, spreading through the body. Remember, this sense of warmth isn't to reinforce the feelings of stuckness. This sense of warmth is so that we feel warm enough in order to not freeze, in order to get up and to do the things that we are called upon doing. We're not in the heart of winter yet. So we want to retain this level of activity that we are called to. I have my middle finger turned in, my thumb on the knuckle of the middle, the Surya Mudra. invite you to be here. We're going to take some time here for another couple of minutes. Cultivate a warm, upward flowing breath. So as you breathe in, allow the breath to rise up and fill the chest. So notice that although this is a Kapha balancing practice, it's not that we have to be very active or dynamic in order to balance that Kapha energy. We can visualize channeling the energy of fire around the body so that it dries up some of that mud that we might be feeling in this season. It's a very muddy season here in autumn. Three more breaths here. In Supta Badakanasana, reclined butterfly. And without too much fuss, especially if you have a blanket over you, we're going to rise up very slowly with helping hands. Tuck the chin in, engage the Uddiyana Bandha by drawing in the core, the navel to the spine. And then let's shuffle over so that our left hip now comes. I'm sorry I have my back to you for this moment. But rather than switch the bolster or pillows over you, just simply turn around. So your left hip is now alongside your bolster. Your legs are at a zigzag. Your left knee is on the earth. Your right knee is next to the left foot. And your other right foot is turned out. So you look down, you see a zigzag. Exhale to turn over your bolster or pillow. Lengthen here, draw up the energy from the earth through the Swadhisthana, through the Muladhara Swadhisthana to the Manipur, so we connect with fire. Exhale and fold over your pillow or bolster. Turn onto your left ear for the moment. Remember, your bolster and pillow doesn't have to be particularly raised. Be quite close to the earth. You choose whether you want the less intense or more intense experience. If you want to create that double sort of corkscrew effect, you can always turn the right ear onto your bolster or pillow. See how that feels. It may not feel very comfortable. This is Mrigyasana. So to the Kapha energy of stability, of devotion, of love, of patience, of kindness, we want to draw in the energy of action, of move into, driving into transformation towards increased confidence, towards perhaps more of a expansive sociability. Often what happens in winter, especially for Kapha, they can become very isolated and inward looking, which is wonderful. But if it leads to feelings of isolation or feelings of depression, or feelings of like being alone. It might be that we want to just shift the energy a little bit so that we feel more motivated to socially engage with others, if our friends, our family, if being with them makes us feel more supported. Softening here in Mudra, allowing the earth to hold you, to contain you. The earth is your essence. So we want to draw upon our strengths and then add to them. The earth element, as we know, we want to put out a fire, we may spread earth on there. So it can be very suppressive. You just want to lift that heaviness of it so that the fire can burn a little, burn a lot if that's what we need. 3 more breaths here in Mudra to the left. So either your right ear will be on the bolster in that sort of double twist, or the left ear will be on the bolster. When you're ready, my friends, press into your hands. Inhale to rise up slowly, walking your hands back towards you, and then counter twist over to the right. And then let's turn back. Come onto our knees. We're going to move into one of the most powerful asanas for getting the fire burning is dragon. So, option with your bolster and pillows. Let's place that horizontally on our mat, at the top of the mat, so that we can still use it to place our hands on it, perhaps, or place our forearms on it. As an alternative, you can also use a low footstool or a low chair. So all fours here, and then let's step forward with the right foot. Pad that left knee if you would like support there. So I would really welcome some support for my knees today. So I'm going to pad my left knee. And take the right foot towards the outside edge of your mat. Sink into the hips here. Hands directly on the earth or on a raised bed. So staying here in high flying dragon. Really want to make sure that you don't drop your weight into your hands here, because that will begin to be felt in your wrists. So we want to really have the connection between all 4 corners of the feet on the right side. Draw in the navel and engage the Mulabandha, the pelvic floor. So squeeze the pelvic floor, draw in the navel to the spine. This activates the lower chakras. Remember, these lower chakras are connecting us to earth, water, which we're already attuned to with Kapha. We're also going to draw in and activate the fire element here. Gaze slightly ahead on the earth here. We're going to move into several variations of dragon. If you're not feeling that comfortable here, you can always roll your bolster or pillows and place them underneath the left thigh. So by doing that, this gives you a little bit more support there. So it helps to distribute the weight a little. So that's an alternative You can still have blocks underneath your hands or pillows, footstools. So there's different options for dragon here. When you're ready, you may come onto your forearms. If you're not happy on your forearms, rise back up onto your hands. Dragon is very challenging. It is hard work. This requires determination to stay in dragon. And that determination, that commitment to stay in dragon comes from the element of fire. So kaphas are really needing to sort of find grit here. Make sure that you use all the props that you need to enable you to sustain this. But expect challenge here, not pain, simply challenge. And challenge is something that you can just hang in there for a little bit longer. If it's pain and you need to come out, the way to soften this is to come back onto the left knee a little bit, and then you can place your hands on a higher chair or on blocks. So it's more of a low lunge. Badakanasana. Another option here, my friends, if you wish to explore, you can stay in one or you can explore this, is to turn onto the little toe side of your right foot. So I'm going to have to take my socks off. So if you want to see how I do this, you can see. So I roll my foot out. So I'm resting on the little toe side of my foot. So the sole of my foot is up. And then that wings out my right knee. If I come this way, you'll see I have my foot flat. And then when I roll onto the outer edge, you see how it brings my knee out. This is low flying winged dragon. So this is an option for you, my friends. And I'll keep my socks off just so that I can show you. We're here for another 2 minutes, my friends. I know you're feeling it. This is really what we are. We've had a gentle activation of fire. Now we're really this is like the bonfire. This is the fire where you put the pallets on, the fire just rises up. And perhaps you connect with what it is that you would like to work towards. What is still required of you as we move into winter? Are there still actions and things for you to complete? What is it that just requires that little final push, a little bit of extra energy and commitment, so that you can then lay it to rest? It's really tying up the loose ends and finding the energy to tie up the loose ends. Close the book on certain chapters. Remember, you can rise back onto your hands at any point. You can bring the winged dragon back to neutral dragon. And we're in the last minute. So if you wish, you can also tuck the left toes and lift the left knee. And so this is an additional challenge if you should wish to embrace it. Remember, The challenge is to explore the subtle edges of your practice, not to break through those edges as if you're bursting through a dam. That is not what the body responds to well. The body needs gentle kind of molding, gentle sort of expansion, or sort of a gentle push rather than a really a sort of a trait, a sort of tearing through. That's not what we're trying to do in our practice of Yin yoga. Draw in the navel towards the spine, whichever variation of dragon you're in, my friends. This is the final push. Get things done so that you can move into a peaceful, calm, restful period without anything hanging over you. Exhaling. Release the knee to the earth. Rise upon your hands, and let's take the sit bones back to come into Ardha Hanumanasana just for a moment by extending through that right leg, roll onto the heel of that foot, right toes to the sky. And then let's very gently move with care. And what you might want to do here is you might want to circle the hips. Maybe cat-cow here for a moment. And maybe come back into child's pose. Take a moment, do what you need. What is the body asking for in this moment? Is it asking for a little bit of sway, a little bit of fluidity? Or is it asking for return? So that sway, that fluid motions of the hips, the circling, the swaying, that is your water element. Remember, Kapha has is a balance of water and earth. And then if you feel drawn to coming back into child's pose, that's the earth element according to you. So it might be that you just water and earth are calling upon you. Prithvi or Jal are calling upon you, like you're going, your Kapha aspect is going, okay, that's been way too much fire. I need to come back to the water element, or I need to come back to the earth element. And you might need to come back to both. You might do both. Move around a little and then come into child's pose. And let's just rest in child's pose for a moment. And then when you're ready, my friends, I invite you to lift your gaze and come back onto your all fours. This time, let's place the right knee on a folded blanket because we're going to step forward with the left foot. I'll take my woolly socks off so you can see my feet. So take the left foot to the outer edge of your mat. So create width and space on the mat here. And then sink into, I look very funny with one sock on and one sock off. What kind of mad yoga teacher is this? I am a little mad. So sink into your hips. Remember, we want to not drop all of our weight into our wrists. If you find you're doing that, another thing that will support you is to curl in your fingers. So you create a little fist, and then you create fist, and you're actually resting on your knuckles here, like this. And this sort of makes sturdy the wrists. So high flying dragon to start with. Remember, if it all feels too much, you can have your hands set so that they're parallel to your knees on something, on a chair or a bit of furniture, or even the wall if you wish. So if, for example, I wanted to do this with the wall, let's do it this way so you can see me. I'll place my hands on the wall and sink into my hips here. So I have support of the wall here, and this does feel really supported. My wall's a little cold. You might want to wear your gloves if it's really cold where you are. And what you'll notice, what we're working is actually we're working in this region of the hips. We're working around the core here because we're going to engage the Uddiyana band. And so what we're really doing is creating a little bit of, I don't want to say discomfort, but we're creating this little bit of intense sensation in the root chakra, where the earth element is, and in the Swadhisthana chakra, the sacral chakra, where the water element is. And so we're creating that little bit of activity there. Just waking them up a little, stimulating them a little, so that they're not going to just rest easy in that space. We're like saying there's a little bit more from you. We're going to bring in the fire. Whenever you're ready, you can come onto your forearms in low flying dragon. Forearms can be directly on the earth or on your bolster. And remember the option I gave to you on the other side, where you can place the bolster or pillows, stack some pillows underneath that right thigh. So again, that you can rest a lot of the weight is distributed. So it's not all like right at the top of your body. It does shift back a little. And this will take out the challenge you might feel in your wrists if you're in your hands. You'll see me moving around because I'm moving around a lot here, so bear with while I move around. And when you're ready, my friends, you can always turn out that left knee, come into the winged dragon. So you roll onto the little toe side of your foot. Winging out that left knee. And this is the beauty of this pose. It's so inventive. You can be so creative with the use of props. If, for example, it is difficult for you to be on your knees, lifting the knee and coming into a higher flying dragon, and then perhaps placing a bolster or pillow long ways under that leg can also feel really supportive. So if my right knee is feeling really challenged by putting the weight on it, I can extend that right leg long behind me, keep the toes tucked, and so the length of the bolster or pillow is supporting that entire leg. I have to show you on this side. You'll see it better. And that can feel really less intense for the knees. So you'll be in one of any variation of dragon here. So remember, we're going to hold it for a little bit of time. Experiment. Be curious. What does it feel like if I do this? What does it feel like if I introduce that prop? What happens when I come onto my forearms? Do I need to rise up again? Do not see this as progression in terms of like there's a hierarchy of the variations or a hierarchy. It is simply an exploration. The experience that you're having can feel really challenging in whichever variation you take. So for me, being on my hands in high flying dragon is more challenging than being in low flying dragon. So it's not about progression, it's about the experience that is in your bodies. For example, when I'm on my forearms, I feel like I have more support for, For some people, this might feel really uncomfortable in the hips. So the experience that's happening in my body is not going to be the same experience that you're having in your body. Keep that fire burning. This is the home run towards the winter solstice. Let's get stuff done, shift what we don't need, clear out, release, let go, so that when we come to the winter solstice, we are in a way that we are in that place where we can feel that we are now ready to prepare for the season ahead, to move into more dormancy. The pittas at that time will really need to build up their kapha because they won't want to rest, they won't want to slow down, and it's natural to slow down. So around that time, we'll do a practice to help prepare the pittas for the kapha seasons of winter. My friends, 3 more breaths in your variation of dragon, wherever you are. Remember, if you've lifted that right knee, keep your toes tucked, keep pushing out through that heel of the right foot. The core is engaged. And when you're ready, my friends, just return the knee onto the earth. If it's lifted, if it's supported, that's fine. Let's take the sit bones, the lower chakras back towards the heel. So we come into Ardha Hanumanasana just for a moment to extend through this left leg to help sort of close that right hip. And then bring that left knee back. And here, do whatever you feel that you need to. So it may be that you need to sway your hips from side to side, circle them in one direction and then the other direction. You may want to cat-cow here. And then you might want to retreat into Balasana, child's pose. And let's make this one comfortable for us. So maybe use your block or your bolster or pillow rather, my friends. Cover yourself with a blanket. Make yourself cozy here. Come on. This is Kapha's love this the best. Balasana, child's pose. If your knees are okay with it, if your knees are tender or sore, then Balasana isn't always going to feel great for you, in which case make sure that you either pad your knees or sit on a cushion, lift your knees up. So you can come into child's pose with a little bit of variation. Variation might be that you come off your knees and so that you're sitting on your hips, one hip or the other, and then come to the earth in that way. So you're still sort of enclosed, but your knees, you're not got your weight on your knees. Your knees can be even out. So it's almost like our Mrikiyasana, our rotation pose. Again, use the bolster to support you. So you don't have to be on your knees. When you come into this curled up pose. The Kapha energy is strong in my dogs right now. They're both fast asleep. If you feel like falling asleep, my friends, please. That's absolutely fine. Come into Shavasana and then fall asleep. That's what you need in this moment. This practice can feel quite challenging for Kaphas. You might need rest after it. 3 more breaths. And then, my friends, we're going to come into a recline, lying down twist. So rising up from your child's pose. Let's place the bolster on the left side of our mat or our large pillows there. Remember to have your blankets on your mat or one available overhead. And let's come down onto the earth here. Move slowly here because you've been working quite hard. Let's hug in the knees. And a little gentle roll from side to side. And you'll notice how when you hug your knees in together here, it's a real relief for the hips. You'll have your bolster or pillow on the left side. So let's, exhaling, release the knees over to the left. So they come to rest on our bolster and pillow. And that bolster and pillow could be as high or as low to the ground as you wish for it. Seek to maintain the connection between the right shoulder and the earth. You can place the left hand on top of the right knee. The right arm can be alongside the body or out in a T shape. Closing your eyes, covering yourself. So again, we're creating this feeling of being warm, embraced by a blanket, but also activating the fire element here. So imagine that there's a flame here at the solar plexus. Imagine what it would feel like if you address all of the niggles, the things that are undone, the things that are unsaid, the unresolved conflicts. If you can find the energy to find a solution or an ending or a closing that works for you, imagine what the relief may feel like, what the lifting of that burden may feel like. It will bring a sense of lightness, airiness, release. And that will lift us from being stuck or stagnant. With this energy that doesn't shift or move. We feel trapped in it perhaps. These are very common For those of us whose Kapha element, the earth element and the water element are slightly out of sync because there's a lot of it around as we move from autumn into winter. So autumn is the season of Vata, winter is the season of Kapha. Inhale, my friends, to center. And again, hug the knees in and gently roll on the lower back from left to right, very softly, very gently. And then when you're ready, let's move the pillow or bolster over to the right side and gently release the knees to the right. And again, you can place your left hand on top of the right hand on top of the left knee. And the left arm can be alongside your body or out. It's perpendicular. Softening here. Allowing the warmth to emanate throughout your whole being. Kaphas are some of my favorite people. They're trustworthy, loyal, reliable, generous-hearted, full of love, kind and compassionate. They care so deeply. They are so like when you need an ally, you need a friend, you need that love, that support. Turn into a Kapha it's almost as if they, with their love, their care, embrace your whole being and hold you. But remember, they get so stuck in supporting other people that sometimes they forget to care for themselves. Sometimes they can be a little fearful of change, resistant to change, maybe risk averse. So the energy we fired up today is a little bit of shift in that, just for a few weeks until we really go into the heart of winter. It's when we might really be feeling, we've had autumn. This is a natural point for us to feel lethargic, that dip in our energies. Inhale, bring your knees back to center, my friends. Hug them in. Gentle roll from side to side on the lower back. And then let's extend your arms and legs so that you come into Shavasana. Perhaps you use your bolster or your pillow underneath the knees to give you a little support. What's really lovely here is to place the hands on the abdomen around the solar plexus and feel the warmth there. Remember to soften through your shoulders here. You might want to place a cushion under each elbow because remember your arms are lifted from the earth here. So raise the earth so it supports your elbows. Folded blanket, small cushion. Closing your eyes and moving into your Shavasana. You may choose to set your timer here for 5 or 10 minutes. It's always worth spending that extra time on our mat. The benefit we get even from 5 or 10 minute Shavasana helps to restore us so that the rest of the day, the rest of the evening. And we often find we sleep more easily if we've taken Shavasana or Yoga Nidra during the day. My friends, I will allow you to rest here. Remember, when you're ready to rise, close your practice with Om Shanti and the silent Dhanyavad. Thank you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Dhanyavad.